Marjorie sat in her quiet bedroom, the soft ticking of the clock mingling with the faint hum of the streetlights outside. She was 74, and while she still enjoyed her daily walks and tending to her garden, she had noticed that over the past few years, her strength seemed to be fading. Lifting grocery bags felt heavier. Her once easy climb up the stairs left her breathless, and even rising from her chair was a slower process than she liked to admit. It wasn't until her last checkup with Dr. Elena Ramirez that she truly paid attention. The doctor had spoken gently but firmly. Marjorie, what you're experiencing is age-related muscle loss, what we call sarcopenia. It's natural to some degree, but it doesn't have to progress as rapidly as it has been. The good news is there are steps you can take to slow it down and even reverse some of the loss. That conversation had stayed with her, echoing through her days. Dr. Ramirez's advice had been simple. Before bed each night, do a few easy but targeted movements to stimulate your muscles. They don't have to be strenuous, just enough to signal to your body that those muscles are needed and should be preserved. So that evening, Marjorie stood up, her joints creaking faintly. She made her way to the small open space near her bed, where the carpet was soft and familiar. She stood tall, feeling the pull of her spine elongating, and began with the first exercise Dr. Ramirez had recommended, calf raises. Slowly, she lifted her heels off the ground, feeling her calves tighten. She lowered back down, controlled and steady. 10 times, then another set. The second movement was simple chair squats. Marjorie positioned herself in front of her sturdy wooden chair, feet hip-width apart. Slowly, she lowered herself into a seated position, tapping the chair, then rising back up. It was harder than it looked, and she could feel her thighs warming with the effort. She did as many as she could, 5, then 7, then 10, each night adding one more. The third was a set of gentle wall push-ups. She placed her hands on the wall, leaned forward at a slight angle, and bent her elbows, lowering herself toward the wall before pushing back up. 10 repetitions, steady and slow, feeling her arms and chest muscles working. After these movements, Marjorie would stretch gently, taking a deep breath and holding each stretch for a few seconds. It was a quiet ritual, calming her mind and easing her body into readiness for sleep. Within 2 weeks of starting this nightly routine, Marjorie began to notice small changes. Rising from her chair became easier, her knees felt less wobbly, and her steps were surer. Encouraged, she continued her nightly exercises with more focus. Each movement became an act of both physical and mental engagement, a signal to her body that strength was still a priority. She remembered Dr. Ramirez's words about why bedtime was the perfect moment for this practice. During sleep, the body repairs and rebuilds. Muscles that had been activated right before rest received extra attention, with nutrients and growth factors working to maintain and restore them. If she went to bed without reminding her muscles they were needed, her body would continue the slow process of letting them fade away. One evening, her friend Nora called to check in. Nora was a few years younger and often teased Marjorie about being obsessed with her health routines. "What's the secret this time?" Nora laughed over the phone. Marjorie chuckled. "It's not really a secret, Nora. It's just a few movements before bed. Squats, calf raises, wall push-ups. They're simple, but they remind my muscles that they have a job to do. Without it, I'd keep losing strength, and I'm not ready to sit on the sidelines yet." Nora sounded thoughtful. "Maybe I'll try that too. My legs have been feeling weak lately. I didn't realize it could make such a difference." "It really can," Marjorie said. "I thought I was just getting older, but I've realized that age isn't the only thing at play. It's about keeping the muscles engaged. They'll shrink if you don't tell them to stick around." They laughed together, but the truth lingered. It was so easy, Marjorie thought, to believe that muscle loss was inevitable with age. But with a few minutes each night, she was proving to herself that she could slow that tide. As the months passed, Marjorie added a few variations to her routine. Some evenings, she balanced on one leg at a time to challenge her stability. Other nights, she used a resistance band to add gentle tension to her arm movements. She always kept it simple and manageable, never pushing so hard that she'd dread the next evening. And each night, as she turned down the covers and slipped into bed, she felt a quiet satisfaction. Her body was listening. Her muscles, though older, were still willing to respond. They just needed the reminder. On a crisp spring morning, as she prepared for her walk with Nora through the park, Marjorie noticed how her stride felt smoother, her legs stronger. She greeted the sunrise with a lightness she hadn't felt in years. Her muscles, instead of disappearing into quiet retirement, were standing by her, ready to keep her moving forward. And every night, just before bed, she reminded them that they mattered.